Lily, you promised you'd find your voice again. In the dim employee break room of Napa Valley's most exclusive resort, 26-year-old Lily Monroe whispered to a worn photograph. The image showed an 8-year-old girl standing beside a woman whose face had been creased by years of handling. Across the bottom, faded ink read, Lily and Mom, last day at Chateau Marmont Hotel, 2006. She traced her finger over the child's face in the photo. Even then, she'd been the shy girl who hid behind her mother's skirts when guests tried to talk to her. Some things never changed. A flash of memory struck her, screaming, breaking glass, ambulance sirens. Her mother's voice, weak but determined, promise me you'll never stop speaking up for what matters. The world needs what my shy girl has to say. But 18 years later, Lily could barely speak up for herself. The other staff members had grown used to her whispered responses and downcast eyes. She'd become the invisible woman of the resort, efficient but forgettable. Lily, you're still here. Marcus, the young intern, peeked through the doorway. At 22, he was one of the few people who didn't treat her like she was made of glass. Tomorrow's the VIP tour, and let me guess, Lily's voice trembled, barely above a whisper. Brian's leading it again. Marcus shifted uncomfortably, glancing over his shoulder to make sure they were alone. Actually, management didn't request you. A guest did, specifically, by name. Marcus looked puzzled himself. The reservation came through our premium booking service. The guest insisted on Lily Monroe for the wine tour. That's impossible, she breathed. Nobody even knows my full name. Someone does, Marcus said softly, and they paid a premium to ensure you'd be their guide. On the corner of the table sat a pristine white envelope that definitely hadn't been there when she'd left for dinner. Marcus noticed her staring at it. Oh, that was delivered about an hour ago. Hand-delivered to the front desk, addressed to you specifically. The next morning, Lily's hand shook as she opened the envelope in the staff locker room. Inside was a faded photo of an old hotel key card and a handwritten note. Some wounds only heal when we dare to open our hearts to the right person. Today is that day. The photo showed a key card from Chateau Marmont, the same hotel from her photograph, dated the exact same day her mother died. Lily sank onto the bench, memories flooding back. Her mother had been so proud that day, showing 8-year-old Lily around the famous hotel where she worked as a senior tour guide. One day, my shy girl will be braver than her mama, she'd said, kissing Lily's forehead. You'll help people see beauty in places they never noticed before. The irony was crushing. 18 years later, Lily was still the same frightened child, but now she worked in places of beauty while remaining invisible herself. Ready for your big moment, VIP princess? Brian Jacobs appeared behind her, his voice dripping with contempt. At 33, he'd worked at the resort for 8 years, climbing from bellhop to senior concierge through sheer determination and aggressive networking. His resentment toward Lily had only grown stronger with time, especially when management praised her wine knowledge despite her inability to speak up in meetings. I'll do my best, Lily stammered, clutching the mysterious photo. Brian leaned against the lockers, blocking her path. Your best wasn't enough last time when you made that family complaint about your mumbling. Remember? They said they felt sorry for that shy girl who seemed so nervous. He mimicked their voices cruelly. VIP guests don't forgive weakness, Lily. They smell fear like predators. Lily's eyes welled up, but she said nothing. She never did. In her mind, she could hear her mother's voice. Stand up for yourself, sweetheart. The world will walk all over you if you let it. But the words never came. They never did. In the hotel's marble lobby, Lily met her VIP group. She'd studied their profiles the night before, as she always did. It was easier to prepare talking points than to think on her feet. Vincent Hale, tech executive from Silicon Valley, watched everyone with unusual intensity. There was something almost protective in the way he observed social dynamics, like someone who'd learned to read rooms for survival. Mrs. Eleanor Chun, 70 years old, moved with the grace of someone who'd spent decades in luxury hotels. Her elegant silver hair was pulled back in a classic chignon, and she wore a distinctive vintage necklace that made Lily's breath catch. 3 other guests completed the group, but Lily's attention kept returning to Mrs. Chen's jewelry, identical to one her mother had worn in old photographs. The wines in this region are special because Lily's voice caught as recognition dawned. She'd seen that necklace before, not just in photos, but in person. A distant memory surfaced of her mother hosting a dinner party when Lily was very young. Because the volcanic soil creates unique mineral profiles, Mrs. Chen finished gently, stepping closer with a knowing smile. You seem familiar to me, dear. Has anyone ever told you that you have your mother's eyes? Lily's heart stopped. You knew my mother? I knew a brave woman who loved wine and storytelling. She used to worry about her shy girl, wondering if she'd ever find the courage to share her gifts with the world. Mrs. Chen's voice was soft, full of memory. She would be so proud to see you now. Vincent studied the exchange with growing interest. You have a personal connection to wine, don't you, Lily? The question caught her off guard. Most guests never asked her personal questions. They barely noticed her presence. Why? Why would you say that? The way you speak about it. Like it holds memories, not just facts. There's emotion behind your knowledge. His observation was gentle but penetrating. Someone taught you to love wine before you learned about it professionally. Lily paled. How could a stranger see what her own colleagues missed? She unconsciously touched the photo in her pocket, the mystery deepening. Mrs. Chen watched Lily's reaction with the expression of someone who knew far more than she was letting on. The other guests had wandered toward the windows, but these 2 remained focused entirely on her. For the first time in years, Lily felt truly seen, not as the shy girl who handled background tasks, but as someone with depth worth exploring. What secrets are hidden in Lily's past? The answers will surprise you. In the wine cellar, Vincent deliberately separated himself from the group, pulling Lily aside among the oak barrels. The dim lighting and intimate space made conversation feel more personal, more dangerous. Where did you learn about wine, Lily? And please don't say self-taught. Your knowledge is too sophisticated for casual reading. Lily's breathing quickened. She'd spent years perfecting her ability to blend into the background, and now this stranger was putting her under a spotlight she didn't want. I just read a lot. No, someone taught you. Someone who understood wine the way you do, with passion, not just technical knowledge. His voice was surprisingly gentle, lacking the impatience most guests showed when she struggled to explain herself. I recognized the look in your eyes. I used to have it too. What look? She whispered. The look of someone who has something valuable to say, but doesn't believe anyone wants to hear it. The observation hit too close to home. Lily felt exposed, as if he could see through all her carefully constructed defenses. Before she could respond, Brian appeared with his characteristic theatrical timing. Having a private consultation, Brian's tone was mocking, but underneath lurked genuine anxiety. He'd built his reputation on being the resort's wine expert, and here was Lily, the shy girl who barely spoke in staff meetings, having an intense discussion with their most important guest. Lily, you forgot to mention the 1995 vintage to the group. I prefer to hear from Lily, Vincent said coolly, not even glancing at Brian. His attention remained fixed on her face. You were saying something about the soil composition. Brian's confidence faltered. But she doesn't have experience with VIP clients like, I'll decide who has experience. Vincent's voice carried an authority that made Brian step back involuntarily. Please continue, Lily. For the first time in years, Lily felt someone defending her. The feeling was overwhelming, a mixture of gratitude and terror. She looked between the 2 men, one who'd spent years diminishing her, and another who seemed determined to hear what she had to say. The 1995 vintage, she began hesitantly, then found her voice growing steadier, was special because that year had unusual late-season rain. Most people think that would hurt the grapes, but it actually concentrated the flavors in ways that... She paused, realizing both men were listening intently. that created a complexity you can still taste 28 years later. Vincent smiled, the first genuine smile she'd seen from him. Exactly. You feel the story in the wine, don't you? Brian's face darkened as he realized he was losing control of the situation. That evening, another envelope waited on Lily's desk in her small studio apartment above the resort staff quarters. Her hands trembled as she opened it, afraid of what new mysteries it might contain. Inside was a letter in her mother's familiar handwriting and another photograph. This one showing young Lily, her mother, and a woman who looked remarkably like Mrs. Chun, 20 years younger. They stood together in what appeared to be the lobby of an elegant hotel, all three smiling warmly at the camera. The letter, dated just weeks before the accident, read, "My dearest Lily, if you're reading this, you've grown up and I'm no longer there to guide you. Eleanor is my closest friend and business partner. We've shared dreams of creating places where people feel truly welcomed, where stories matter as much as luxury. If you ever feel lost, if the world ever makes you feel like that shy girl who used to hide behind my skirts, find Eleanor. She understands what it means to help people discover their own worth. She'll help you rediscover the voice I couldn't teach you to use. You are braver than you know, my darling. The world needs your gentle wisdom, your careful observations, your way of making people feel seen. Don't let anyone convince you that quiet strength isn't real strength. All my love, Mama." With trembling fingers, Lily dialed the phone number included in the letter. Each ring felt like an eternity. "Mrs. Chun, this is Lily Monroe. I think you knew my mother. I've been waiting for your call for 18 years, sweetheart." Mrs. Chin's voice was warm, knowing, filled with barely contained emotion. "Your mother was my dearest friend. After the accident, I kept track of where you were through social services, then school records, and finally when you started working in hospitality 3 years ago. Watching over me? But how? What? Your mother made me promise to help you when you were ready, but I had to wait until you'd grown into your own person, developed your own skills." Mrs. Chin's voice softened. "When I heard you'd been working at this resort for 3 years, showing real expertise but struggling with confidence, I knew it was time. What about him? He lost his mother in a car accident when he was 12. Just like you. And just like you, he stopped trusting his own voice for years. He became so quiet that teachers forgot he was in class, so withdrawn that other children thought he was mute." Lily's world tilted. The confident man she'd met seemed impossible to reconcile with the image Mrs. Chin painted. "How do you know all this?" "Because I helped him find his voice again, just as I promised your mother I'd help you find yours. And now he wants to pay that gift forward." "You mean his being here?" "Everything, darling. The tour request, the questions about wine, the way he defended you today. Vincent and I have been planning this for months. We wanted to create a situation where you could see your own strength without anyone telling you what to think or feel." Lily sank in her chair, overwhelmed. "But why now? Why after all these years?" "Because last month, I heard you were thinking about quitting. Marcus mentioned to one of my contacts that you've been talking about leaving hospitality entirely, feeling like you'd never be good enough." Mrs. Chin's voice grew urgent. "I couldn't let you give up when you were so close to finding your strength. Your mother would never forgive me." "You mean his being here?" "Everything, darling. The tour request, the questions about wine, the way he defended you today. Vincent and I have been planning this intervention for weeks. We had to act before you walked away from your calling." The next evening, Lily found Vincent sitting alone in the resort's garden. "Mrs. Chun told you about my mother, didn't she?" she asked, approaching him for the first time on her own initiative. Vincent looked up, surprised by her directness. "She told you about mine too. You really used to be afraid to speak." Vincent nodded slowly. "After my mom died, I didn't speak for almost 5 years. Only wrote. Mrs. Chun was my mother's business partner. She's the one who helped me realize that silence wasn't protecting me. It was burying me. But why are you here? Why me?" "Because Mrs. Chun told me about her friend's daughter, a brilliant young woman who was drowning in the same fear that almost killed me." Vincent's eyes met hers. "I didn't come here to invest in a hotel, Lily. I came to find you. Tears streamed down Lily's face. "You came here for me. Mrs. Chun and I have been planning this for months. We wanted to create a situation where you could see your own strength." Meanwhile, Brian stood in the hallway, having overheard their conversation. Marcus discovered him there, clearly shaken. "Why do you hate Lily so much?" Marcus asked directly. Brian's composure cracked. "Hate her? Do you know what I had to do to get this job? I don't have a college degree. I don't have connections. I worked double shifts for 5 years just to prove myself." His voice broke. "And she was born with talents I'll never have. It's not fair." Marcus saw Brian's pain clearly for the first time. The bully was also a victim of his own insecurities and circumstances. Sometimes the people who hurt us the most are fighting battles we can't see. The next morning, Brian stormed into the staff meeting room like a man possessed. He'd found the letters by accident. When Lily had rushed out crying the day before, her bag had fallen over, spilling its contents. He'd gathered everything to return to her, but curiosity had gotten the better of him. "I figured it out," he shouted, slamming the conference room door behind him so hard that coffee cups rattled on the table. The entire morning staff, 12 employees ranging from housekeeping to management, looked up in alarm. "I was trying to return these to Lily," he said, his voice shaking with discovery and betrayal, "but I couldn't help reading them." He threw the letters onto the conference table with theatrical fury. "This whole thing is rigged. Lily has a secret patron, a millionaire backer, and a hotel owner protecting her." The letters scattered across the polished wood surface. Curious hands reached for them as Brian continued his revelation. "Look at the evidence. Mrs. Eleanor Chun isn't just some random guest. She's a silent partner in this entire hotel chain. And Vincent Hale? He's been planning this whole charade with her for weeks." Sarah from housekeeping picked up one of the letters, her eyes widening as she read. "Is this from her mother? Don't you see?" Brian's voice cracked with desperation and vindication. "She's not succeeding on her own merit. She's had powerful people pulling strings from day one. The shy girl act, the stammering, though I'm just learning, it's all been fake." Lily stood frozen in the doorway, having arrived late to what she thought would be a routine staff meeting. The sight of her private letters being passed around like evidence at a trial made her feel physically ill. "She's not some inspiring underdog story," Brian continued, his 8 years of resentment pouring out in a torrent. "She's a privileged princess with connections. While the rest of us work double shifts and kiss up to management, she has millionaires and hotel owners making sure she gets special treatment." Marcus, who'd been reading one of the letters, looked up confused. "But Brian, this is about her mother dying when she was 8. And it sounds like she didn't even know about Mrs. Chun until yesterday." "Didn't know?" Brian laughed bitterly. "Then explain why a tech millionaire came here specifically requesting her. Explain why she gets assigned to VIP tours when she can barely speak to regular guests without stuttering." The staff looked at Lily with confused, accusatory expressions. Her worst nightmare was coming true, being exposed as someone who didn't deserve what she had, someone whose success was built on deception. "I didn't know," Lily whispered, her voice barely audible. "I had no idea about any of this until yesterday. I swear." "Didn't know?" Brian's voice rose to near hysteria. "You expect us to believe that you, the shy girl who supposedly earned her position through hard work, just happened to carry around letters from a millionaire fairy godmother? Letters you kept secret from all of us." Janet from Guest Relations looked between Brian and Lily uncertainly. If she really didn't know, she knew enough to keep it secret. Brian slammed his hand on the table. "After I read these letters, I spent all night researching Mrs. Chun online. She's not just some random guest. She's a silent partner in this entire hotel chain. She let us all think she was struggling like the rest of us while she had puppet masters arranging her success. I was right about you from the beginning," Brian declared, pointing at Lily with shaking finger. "You don't belong here. You never earned your place here. And now everyone knows it." The words hit Lily like physical blows. She could feel the staff's eyes on her, some sympathetic, others suspicious, all of them seeing her differently now. The shy girl who'd worked so hard to prove herself had been revealed as an imposter. Lily fled the room in tears, the sound of continued arguing fading behind her. In the vineyard at sunset, Lily collapsed under a grapevine, clutching her mother's photograph. "Mom, am I really as weak as they say? Do I only matter because other people help me?" Mrs. Chun approached slowly, sitting beside her in the dirt. "Child, what did your mother tell me about you the last time we spoke?" "I don't know," Lily sobbed. She said, "Lily will change many people's lives someday. But first, she has to believe in herself." Mrs. Chin's voice was gentle but firm. "Your mother was the best hotel tour guide I ever knew. After the accident, she made me promise to help you fulfill the dream she couldn't complete. But everyone's right. I only got this far because you and Vincent helped me." The letters, Vincent's visit, none of that was to make you successful, Lily. It was to help you see that you were already strong. Vincent appeared at the vineyard, sitting down beside them. "Can I tell you about the day I found my voice again?" he asked softly. Lily nodded, her face streaked with tears. "I was 16, planning to end my life because I couldn't live with the silence anymore. Mrs. Chun didn't save me with words. She put me in a situation where I had to help a lost child in her hotel. The first words I'd spoken in 4 years were to comfort that scared little boy." Vincent's voice grew stronger. "I realized my voice had value when I used it to help someone else. Not because I was perfect, but because I was genuine. So, coming here, I wanted to give you the chance to see that your voice matters. Not because someone's protecting you, but because you have something real to offer." Lily looked at him with new understanding. "You're not here to rescue me. I'm here to watch you rescue yourself." The next morning, Lily walked into the staff meeting room with deliberate steps. She'd spent the entire night thinking about Vincent's words, about her mother's letter, about the choice she had to make: remain the victim of other people's perceptions or become the author of her own story. Brian was at the head of the table, a folder of evidence prepared to present to management. He'd clearly expected her to not show up, to resign quietly and disappear. His face showed genuine surprise when she entered. "I want to say something," she announced, her voice clear and steady for the first time anyone could remember. The room fell silent, shocked by her confidence. Even Marcus, who'd always been kind to her, looked stunned by the transformation. "Brian is right about some things. I did have help. Mrs. Chun and Vincent did orchestrate this situation." She looked directly at Brian, unflinching. "But not to make success easier, to help me see I was capable of it all along." She turned to address the entire room, making eye contact with each person. "Everyone needs someone to believe in them. That doesn't make us weak. It gives us the courage to be strong." Sarah from housekeeping spoke up hesitantly. "But Lily, if you had connections, why didn't you tell us?" "Because I didn't know," Lily replied simply. "Mrs. Chun watched me from a distance for 3 years, waiting to see if I developed my own skills and knowledge. Vincent came here not because I was already successful, but because they thought I had potential worth nurturing." She paused, gathering her thoughts. "But more importantly, I need to address what Brian said about me, taking opportunities from others." Turning to Brian, her voice remained steady but gained warmth. "I know why you resent me, Brian. You think I got things you deserved. You've worked incredibly hard to get where you are, and you've done it without the advantages others might have had." Brian stared at her, clearly not expecting this approach. "But hurting me won't heal your pain," Lily continued. "It just creates more of it. The truth is, we both deserve recognition for our hard work. We both deserve opportunities to grow. Success isn't a limited resource that runs out if someone else gets some." She looked around the room. "For 3 years, I let myself believe I was just a shy girl who didn't deserve to be heard. I let Brian's treatment of me convince me I was worthless. But I realize now that I was waiting for permission to be valued, permission that no one can give me except myself." Janet from guest relations nodded slowly. "You're right. We all need to stop tearing each other down. But the connections," Brian's voice was smaller now, confused. "The connections gave me a chance to see my own worth, Lily said gently. But the knowledge, the skills, the care I put into my work, that was mine. That was real. And Brian, your skills are real too. Your dedication is real. We don't have to compete for worth. Brian's face crumpled as years of pain and insecurity finally found expression in tears instead of anger. You don't hate me? Brian asked, his voice breaking. I hate what you did, but I understand why you did it. Lily's voice held both firmness and compassion. You wanted to be seen, to be valued. That's not wrong. For the first time in years, Brian broke down completely. I just wanted someone to notice I was working hard too. Now we all see it, Lily said simply. Not because you're perfect, but because you're human. Vincent watched from the doorway, his face glowing with pride. 6 months later, the transformation was complete, but felt entirely natural. Lily stood before a group of 50 guests in the resort's main conference room, now serving as the director of guest experience. She wore confidence like a well-tailored dress, not flashy, but perfectly fitted to who she'd become. Brian stood beside her as her assistant manager, his own journey of healing evident in the way he now supported rather than undermined her efforts. The bitter man who'd once mocked the shy girl had evolved into someone who understood that lifting others up lifted himself as well. Wine isn't just about taste, Lily addressed the crowd with natural confidence, her voice carrying easily to the back of the room. It's about stories, about the people who create it, about the soil that nourishes it, about the weather that shapes it, and about the memories we make when we share it. An elderly gentleman in the front row leaned forward. You speak about wine like it's poetry. Lily smiled, remembering her mother's words about finding beauty in unexpected places. Because it is poetry. Every bottle tells a story of patience, hope, and the belief that time can transform something simple into something extraordinary. The guests erupted in applause that felt different from polite appreciation. It was genuine engagement, real connection. You made that sound magical, a woman exclaimed from the middle of the room. We could feel your passion. It made us want to taste the stories, not just the wine. After the tour, as guests lingered to ask questions and share their own wine memories, Vincent approached with a proposal that would have terrified the old Lily, but energized the woman she'd become. I'm starting a new hotel chain, he said, his eyes bright with possibility. Places specifically designed to help people find their voices again. Resorts where staff are trained to see potential in guests who've lost confidence, where every interaction is designed to remind people of their worth. He paused, studying her face. Would you consider being the CEO? Lily didn't answer immediately. Instead, she glanced across the room where Brian was patiently helping Marcus practice presentation skills, where Mrs. Chun sat with a group of older guests who were sharing stories about overcoming late-in-life challenges, where the housekeeping staff had gathered to listen as Janet from Guest Relations practiced the confidence techniques Lily had taught her. I'll think about it, she said finally. But first, I want to help Brian complete the management training program I designed for him. And I want to finish the mentorship program we're starting for all the staff who feel invisible. Brian, who'd overheard from across the room, looked over with eyes that held tears of gratitude instead of resentment. The man who'd once seen her success as his failure now understood that her rise had made room for his own growth. That evening, in her apartment that now felt like home rather than hiding place, Lily wrote in the journal she'd started keeping. Dear Mom, today I spoke to 50 people without stumbling once. Not because I'm not afraid anymore, but because I know what I'm saying is worth hearing. I used to think courage meant not being scared. Now I know it means being scared and speaking up anyway. The shy girl you worried about found her voice, Mama. But more than that, she learned that her voice can help others find theirs too. I love you. Through her window, she watched the evening scene unfold. Brian teaching Marcus confidence techniques while sharing his own story of overcoming insecurity. Mrs. Chun sitting with Vincent on the terrace, both of them smiling as they watched the staff interactions they'd helped nurture, guests lingering in small groups, still discussing the stories they'd heard during the tour. In voiceover, Lily reflected, Sometimes our deepest wounds teach us how to heal others. And when we heal others, when we see them truly, value them completely, we heal ourselves too. The quiet ones, the invisible ones, the ones who think they don't matter, they're often the ones with the most important things to say. They just need someone to listen first. Lily's surrounded by all the people whose lives she'd touched. People who had found their own voices by watching her find hers. People who had learned that strength comes in many forms, and that sometimes the most powerful voice is the one that whispers you matter too. If this story touched your heart, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes we all need a reminder that our voice matters. Like this video if you believe in second chances, and subscribe for more stories about finding strength in unexpected places. What's one thing you'd say if you knew your voice mattered? Tell us in the comments below.